Welcome to Voices from the Bench, a dental laboratory podcast. Send us an email at info@voicesfromthebench.com or look for us on Facebook at Voices from the Bench. Greetings and welcome to Voices from the Bench. We're at episode 110. My name is Elvis.
And my name is Barbara. Fast at work here on a Friday. Happy to have some incoming work. States are opening back up. How about you? How are you?
Well, Indiana's been open for a week. We've had a small trickle of work. Most offices I talk to have problems getting the PPE required to open.
Yep.
It sounds like a lot of them are getting them early next week, and they plan on opening up, and they say their hygiene is full. So it's all a good sign.
Yeah, I know. I think people are excited to get back to normal. Maybe not excited, but looking forward to getting back to normal. And a lot of people care about their teeth, and our industry is ready to go. So I'm very optimistic as usual.
Did I see that Florida is allowing dental offices to open May 4th?
Yes, you did. I've actually talked to a couple of my wonderful clients today that are preparing themselves and letting me know that they're open. And so, yeah, we actually got in, I know you're going to be shocked, but 60 scans in today. So it's Friday. It's the first. We went from 30 to 60 overnight. So I think it's just showing that there are offices that are opening up and starting to prep work. So good signs to come.
Again, still more than I get on a regular day you get during the pandemic.
Yep, I know. Sorry, but
No,
it's a good thing for us, I guess.
It's a great sign. It is a good sign.
Yep.
We want to see numbers going up in our industry, but going down in the numbers of cases and deaths and all that. And it seems to be trending that way.
Yay. So happy.
So I saw that you made the cover of IDT magazine. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I haven't seen it. When did you get it?
I don't get it because mine comes to the lab, and I haven't been to the lab in almost 2 months. But I saw the digital version. That's out. That came out today, and exciting stuff. Cool. You talking about you passing on the legacy to your kid?
Yep.
It's very cool.
Well, you know how much I talk about that on the podcast, that I love the fact that we are a very deep industry with family. And, you know, my dad taught me and I'm teaching my son, and they reached out to me after I spoke at the NADL, and I said, sure, I'd be happy to talk about that. So thank you. I haven't seen it yet, but thank you. I looked at it and approved it, and so I'm super happy for my family.
Yeah, it's a very good article. I enjoyed reading it.
Thanks.
And speaking of family, we have an interview that we did today that is a whole bunch of family running this thing.
Wow, way to segue, partner.
Yeah, you like that?
Yes, I do.
So this week we take a break from all the great conversations we got while at LMT Lab Day Chicago. Barb and I had our first post-COVID-19 remote recording. I can't believe it took us so long to actually record. But we had so much content from all of our live recording, honestly, we didn't need to. It's hard to have a conversation now that we don't talk about the virus affecting our industry and the world.
Yeah.
When we originally set up the interview, we were in Chicago, and of course times were a lot different. But because of recent events, the conversation took a completely different turn, so we wanted to get it out as soon as possible while it's still relevant. Barb and I had a great conversation with some folks from Panthera Dental out in Quebec, Canada. We were joined by the co-founder, Béatrice Robichaud, which I'm sure I butchered, but she'll correct me during the interview, and Senior Vice President of U.S. Sales, Kim Solomon. While we did talk about how Panthera got started, and our original plan was to talk about what Panthera does, we do talk about their sleep devices division, and that quickly turns into the importance of teledentistry and what Panthera is doing about printing of PPE for the frontline workers during the pandemic. Now, this was also the first long recording we did while I was quarantined at home.
Yeah, I'm sure there's dogs barking.
Yeah, so between the wife working from home, the kids being on video games, the internet was a little spotty, and I actually get dropped mid-interview. But Barb, you did a fantastic job finishing it up.
Thanks.
Please join us as we talk to Béatrice and Kim from Panthera Dental. Barb, I got a call from a doctor who's looking for a new lab.
What? That's awesome. Did they start to send you work yet?
Yeah, but unfortunately her impressions are terrible. Missed margins, distortions all over. I don't know what to do.
Well, she's probably looking for a new lab because the last lab stopped taking her impressions. You know, bad dentists, they go from lab to lab to lab.
Yeah, that's probably what she's doing. But I just got this account. I don't want to lose it. When I talked to her, I asked what impression material she was using, and it was some brand I've never heard of.
Yeah, there's a lot of crappy impressions out there. I don't understand why offices use cheaper materials to save money up front, but in the end, it ends up costing them twice as much, and with all the remakes for us and for them that they end up doing. And, we got to eat the remake costs.
Yeah, that's so true. I really wish I could find an impression company I could rely on for help, and the doctors can get the help they need for us to get the records we need.
So there you have it. Check out Kettenbach. This German-manufactured impression material is taking the U.S. by storm. Not only do they use top-notch patented technology, but they have a dedicated customer service team that will work with your accounts, which is amazing.
Interesting. So do I just call the doctor and tell her to switch? What if she doesn't want to?
Well, you know how doctors are. Most of them are pretty open and say, hey, if I can do better, please let me know. So if I was you, I would tell her to call Kettenbach Direct, give her the number of 877-532-2123. They've actually got a $99 starter kit. They will put her in touch with a local rep, and they also have a lot of materials that labs use every day, like the Panthera Lab Putty Hard and Lab Putty Soft. They've got soft reline, they've got bite registration material, and when a lab orders, guys listen up, 25% off your first order. All you have to do is mention the code DentalLabPodcast25. Plus, they sell direct, so there are even more savings.
Whoa, wait a minute. I've heard about that lab putty. We use it here in our lab. I didn't even realize it was made by Kettenbach. That is amazing lab putty that our technicians love. I'm going to check out kettenbach-dental.us right now and then call my new doctor.
So, just hearing Elvis say it's an amazing lab putty, there you go. There's a super awesome recommendation. So, call him.
Thanks for your support of the podcast, Kettenbach.
Thank you.
Voices from the Bench. The interview. We'd like to welcome to the podcast, and it's been a while since we've done a remote recording with all the live events Barb and I have been at. I think it was Cal Lab. I met up with David Kim Solomon. Do you go by Kim?
I go by Kim.
Kim Solomon, who's the vice president of sales for Panthera Dental. And he introduced me to one of the co-founders, and I'm probably going to butcher your last name. So
oh yeah, he will, trust me.
Get ready to be famous. Béatrice Robichaud.
Almost. Robichaud.
Robichaud.
Well, in French, I will say Robichaud.
Robichaud.
I like
How's
it.
There you go.
Sexy.
So you guys are from Panthera Dental. You're the big purple panther company that we all know about, right?
Yes, that's us. We're the Purple Panther that's been on the market now for since 8 years now. Yeah, we're in
8
2020.
years.
8
Wow.
years.
So tell us the history, Béatrice, of how this all came about. I mean, what made you get into... I mean, you're a lot more than a bar company now, but what made you get into the bar business?
The story is, as a matter of fact, it's coming from my father. My father is a dental technician, been in the industry since the 80s. As a matter of fact, he graduated in school in the 70s. And my father in the 80s had the opportunity to meet Professor Branemark in beginning of the 80s. As a matter of fact, he did invite him to come and talk about dental implant in Quebec City at the Chateau Frontenac. When Professor Branemark came to Quebec, my father explained to me that all his colleagues, other dental technicians, laughed at my father, they were saying, Jean, that implant will never be a thing, okay? That's pretty funny when you think about it. In the same year or two after, my father was starting to travel a lot in Europe to see how dental industry was doing in the European country, like in France mostly, because of the language, obviously, since we speak French. And he had the opportunity to meet another guy that is known as Professor Duret. It is said that Professor Duret is the godfather of CAD/CAM industry. Like, he was one of the first to bring computer to manufacture something. The thing is that what happened, it's always an economical situation, is that in the same year, 1985, François Duret and friends shown his first dental crown, like CAD/CAM manufactured crown. In the same year, in Sweden, we had Matt Anderson that presented his first dental crown. And in the same year, I'm not too sure it was Germany or Denmark, something like that, the two brothers from Serek showed their first dental crown. The difference is that Matt Anderson had Nobel Pharma, that is now Nobel Biocare, that decided to join their force together. And the Serek guy, I don't know their story exactly, but again, they had money. And François Duret was unfortunately the guy without cash. So that's what happened. Unfortunately, the guy didn't have the opportunity of the two other. Well, things said, my father met those two guys, and at that moment, he didn't know, but something started to grow in his head. And it took another 15 years to be in 2000, where my father decided to bring CAD/CAM and implantology together. He used to be a consultant for an old Montreal-based company. You might have heard that, or maybe you even tried it. I know, Barbara, you've been in the industry for a while. It was called Sinovad. I don't know if you remember that name.
Vaguely, yes, I do, actually. Wow.
Sinovad was a Montreal French Association dental company that they were able to get funding from the government of Quebec. Unfortunately, that company were, first of all, they only wanted to do crown and bridges, and they were not interested to do implant-supported CAD/CAM solution. And one of the associate was, as a matter of fact, he did stole the money of the government and ran away. So the company kind of died by itself because of the situation. And out of Sinovad, a few original founder of Sinovad, an engineer, started their own company that today is known as Dental Wings.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so
Crazy.
we're back in 2000. So 1999, my father was trying to say to Sinovad, let's do implant CAD/CAM and so on, but they were not interested. So 2000, my father met a very good dentist that was focusing on implantology. And then my father at that day was the owner of Bego Canada. A little like Bego USA. So he had his own division here in Canada and was selling dental product to dental lab. And so he brought his company, Bego, he brought his dentist, and he started a project of developing a CAD/CAM software to do implant-supported product. And in province of Quebec, the dental industry is very pro-implant bars. Like, removable is something super huge in province of Quebec. Probably a culture thing, to be honest. So my father used to cast implant bar, and he was, in fact, known in the industry to be one of the rare guys that could cast in one piece, first try, full succeed, a hybrid Montreal type of bar without to have to readjust the casting at the end. That was quite a challenge.
He didn't have to cut the bar and resolder it 5 times to get it to fit? Because that's how I remember casting bars.
Yes, that's how I remember it as well.
Those
were the good old days.
That was my father's skill, not having doing that. So he said, if we succeed doing an implant bar using CAD/CAM technology, that is probably the most challenging CAD/CAM solution we can think of. He said, let's start by the most difficult one, and then after, it's going to be a piece of cake. So he worked hard, and in 2003, we were able to manufacture the first implant bar with our own technology. And at that moment, we started to, continue developing the concept, the software, and so on. In 2006, the project finally got a name. It was called BioCAD. At that moment, personally, I joined to be the director of sales and marketing at that moment. And so I started to sell the solution. We used to sell this laptop. Some people might have seen it. There was a big eagle, red eagle. I was painted on the actual laptop by those special guy that do the paint job on Harley Davidson? The flame. Well, we hired one of those guys. It was painting with car painting on the computer, on the laptop, our logo, the Red Eagle. And then we started to sell that in Canada, in France, and in U.S. And I know in U.S. people started to call us the Red Eagle.
I remember those boxes when I was just getting into the industry. Totally.
You see?
Yeah.
And then it took not even 3 years that we got someone at knock off the door and says, hey, we want to buy you. And it was Nobel Biocare.
Wow.
So they make a full acquisition of the company in 2009. And then the month after, we went to IDS in Germany. So with our software and if you remember the Optimate scanner, we sold within 5 days of IDS more than 400 full system. That was like never seen in the industry.
Wow.
Unfortunately, as a lot of company, what happened is that when you're acquired by a big player, they slowly start to kind of borrow the inventor and make them forgettable. And that's exactly what happened in 2011. They had a completely different vision. They were not interested by what we have to do and all the project. So they just fired us. And then at that moment, my phone started to ring, and customer all around the world that had my personal phone call says, Beatrice, when are you going to do a BioCAD 2.0? And then I told my brother, Gabriel, what we should do. He says, let's do it. And then it took us a year to set up the project. 2012, we started Panthera Dental as we know today.
Wow.
So you guys sold to them, and then the vision changed, and then you left, and obviously you left in a bad way, but then you opened, that's when you created Panthera. That's an amazing story. I love it.
Me too.
So your dad must have inspired you and your brother. I didn't realize your brother was in the business either.
Oh, it's a family-based company, Barbara. I work with my brother. I work with my mother. I work with my other brother. I work with three of my cousin. I work with my best friend cousin, and 100 more employees that I used to know now, but didn't know before.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I love that story. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
How did you come up with the panther logo in the name Panthera?
Should I really tell that story, Kim? That is the most boring story ever.
But it does have a good purpose.
So, no, when you start a business, you register to your government, and then you probably have a number business like 9104 Quebec Incorporated business. You still,
Sure.
Okay, how are we going to call it? Sometimes straight ahead the name of your business, but we didn't. We knew we wanted something to happen, but we didn't have a name, neither a logo. And we found that website called 99logo. 99logo.com, okay? Something like that. Yeah. It's a website for $99. You can buy a logo, okay? And there's hundreds of thousands of possible logo on that website. And I remember for $139, when you buy the logo, you get full exclusivity of the logo. Like you own it, okay?
Sure, yeah.
So for 3 months, the first 3 months of the company, we were 6 at the time, the 6 founder of the company. And then my brother says, okay, guys, we sit down every day, 1 hour per guy per day on this website, and we check logo. And you just go randomly check logo. And if you find something interesting, you let us know. So we found for 3 months, 1 hour per day, 6% checking stupid logo.
Wow.
After 3 months, my brother says, I got it. And I was in the office that day. And I says, what do you got? Not remembering that we had this task to be done, And then he said, a logo. And so we all went to his computer screen and we saw this little panther. And he looked at us and says, we got to call ourselves Panthera Dental and we're going to be purple. I was like, okay, I'm fine with that. And I said, why purple? He said, Beatrice, Nobel is red, Zimmer is blue, Biomed is green. No one is purple. Just let's do purple.
Smart man.
It worked.
I love it.
That's how we found our name and logo and color. That's it.
Well, I remember at Lab Day, it was easy to tell you guys apart with the purple ties.
Yep.
There were tons of them
Totally.
there.
Oh, we got the purple tie. We got the purple Converse. We got the purple shirt this year. What else we got also? A couple of other stuff, and the purple bow tie, the 3D printed one 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I see you guys on Facebook a lot, and everybody speaks very, very highly of your company. Top notch, top quality. You've got all kinds of things going on. Kim, if you don't mind me asking, how are you, and what is your role there?
I'm doing well, thanks, Barb. My role is the Senior VP of Sales for the United States Division. Mm-hmm. I basically met Beatrice and Gabriel when the acquisition took place at Nobel Biocare. At the time, I was the Nobel Panthera product manager, working in coalition with the All-on-4 launch and on the other implant strategies that Nobel Biocare was putting together, and knew them, knew the products real well. Of course, watched what transpired and things happened. And as fate would have it, Noble Biocare went through its Danaher acquisition, and it sort of provided an exit for me. And so by chance, Beatrice and Gabriel and I were able to reconnect in the fall of 2016, and they offered me a position to come on board to actually finalize and put together a U.S. Panthera Dental Corp that would then have its own sales team. We're completely distributor based for Panthera Dental Canada, but it's our primary product. That's all we sell. That's all we work with. So we put together a 10-man team. And from that, half of that team works over on our restorative side, which is our implant bars and our maxillofacial products, and soon to be launched a subperiosteal implant. And then we have another 4 to 5 member team that's running our sleep appliance, our DSAD appliance for the sleep apnea market. So it's a little diverse. It's 2 different channels. Both of them are growing nicely. The sleep is growing a little faster pace just because it's newer. There's more people that are getting into it. Dentists are beginning to see the revenue channels and jumping into the opportunity that's opened up there. But the implant bars have been very successful. It's a very stable market, and we've seen some nice growth. So,
can you expand on the sleep? What are you doing? How are you doing it? What does that look like?
I can. Beatrice, you want to give them sort of an intro on how we got started and what we did? And then I can jump in with just where we are today.
Yeah, sure. The sleep industry is because, as I said, it's a family-based company. So my father used to own his own dental lab a couple of years ago, obviously, and then he started the lab with his sister. And when the 2000 he started this whole BioCAD project I told you earlier, my father was not anymore running the lab with his sister. His sister got full time in the lab by herself. And then she started to do a sleep appliance that was like a kit, that you buy. It was a French product. She bought it from Lyon in France, and then she had to assemble the appliance and manufacture it by hand and sell it to local dentists. And this company that was called Narval, they came to Quebec and met my father, because I told you my father was the owner of Bego, a dental distributor of product for dental lab. So that was obviously a very interesting choice of partner to distribute a kit to sell to dental lab to produce a sleep appliance. So they came to Quebec City to meet my father. And back in the days, we were about 2004, 2005. I'm not exactly sure. And my brother was already working with my father in the future project that became BioCAD. And he met this gentleman and he spoke about the kit. He wanted to sell the kit to Canadian, and that my father could distribute the kit and so on. And my father's was, he was about to just leave Bego and then be full time with BioCAD. So he was not interested. So the guy literally went outside, called a cab. Before the cab arrived, my brother ran outside and says, no, come back. And the guy came back in the office to sit down. My brother says, hey, just got an idea. Let's take your kit and make a software out of it to produce a CAD/CAM produced sleep appliance. The guy loved the idea. So he went back to France. He contacted the French government, the research center of the country, and it started to figure out a way to produce an appliance with a biocompatible CE mark, Health Canada FDA approved material. Meanwhile, in Quebec, my father started to develop the project with my brother of developing a full software to design an oral sleep appliance and to produce it. 1 year later, the world's first CAD/CAM appliance was produced, and that's where it started. We sold to Nobel Biocare. Narval sold to ResMed, that is well-known company that sells CPAP machine, and unfortunately the project died. ResMed and Nobel Biocare were not able to find any partnership to continue the development, and the software was owned by Nobel Biocare, and ResMed only owned a license of use, so it kind of died by itself. So how we get in with Panthera Dental is because one of the local dentists in Quebec City that used to work with my aunt, and he called her and he said, hey, guy, I really love that product because, he was his first patient. The guy have sleep apnea diagnosed and he wear a Narval appliance. And he said, the product is really fine, but I think we still have like a version 2 to develop. And he says, now you have started Panthera Dental, you have software programmer. I mean, why we don't start a brand new project, from that and make a second version, like a better version of it,
Mm.
And I called my aunt, called us, my brother and I, and she said, "Hey guys, why we don't do that?" So she joined Panthera Dental with us, and we started the project. And a few months later, we printed our first next generation of a sleep appliance. And from there, we started to do the selling all around America.
Wow.
Wow, so they're printed,
That's
huh?
a great story.
Yeah, it's a printed byline. And really what brought this all together was the sleep industry about 5 years began to change in the United States. The golden standard, of course, for sleep apnea has always been a CPAP.
Yes.
What the pushback was conformity for the patient to use it. If you don't wear it, you don't get treatment. And so all of the morbidities that began to accelerate the sleep apnea, of course, diabetes, stroke, heart, even mental stabilities, capacities began to kick in as you begin to have prolonged sleep apnea. It began to wake up an awareness in the United States. So the dental and the medical community were totally separated, and they weren't going to come together. Well, there was some change in the insurance coding on how sleep appliances, especially Herbst and Tapt, were the first generations that came out. There were some changes in there on how they could be applied. Medicare was driving all of the basic funding for this, but then private insurance companies began to get on board because they began to see the opportunity. This shift started happening around the time frame, early 2017. 2018, there was a phenomenon that took place that was the first in the industry, meaning Narval decided to close their sleep appliance product in the United States. And this really opened the door for Panthera to step in and accelerate our platform, as we were the only other nylon printed product, which is very light, very durable, and it allows us to address 98% of the sleep apnea conditions presented to us. It really helped accelerate our platform. So we grew exponentially over the last 2 years, and it's been really a sort of a gift that was handed to us. They called it a Christmas present, but unfortunately, we had to work really hard for this one. So we've made the best of that opportunity, and it's allowed us to kind of expand our platform. So we see it as a viable option. We chose a different path in how we actually distribute our clients. We do it through our partner laboratories, and we went and approached the top 6 orthodontic sleep labs in America, and we partnered with them. And so we help drive the business through the laboratory base, which is our core competency as working with implant bars. So the other companies are direct-based companies, and we work through these exclusive distributors. So a little bit different model, but at the same time, it allows us to keep the laboratory in the mix within the business.
Yeah, that was actually going to be one of my questions, or my next question is, how do you market? How do you sell? So basically, you're selling to laboratories and partnering with laboratories, which I love. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting, as Beatrice said, how this whole product segment began to accelerate. They're the key players that have always, worked with dentists that were the early adapters into sleep. And of course, the original products were made with acrylic. They were made with some alloys. They had screws, and some of them still incorporate the mechanism in it. But most of them have moved to, much more advanced materials. And we're seeing that they wear better. There's more compliance with patients. And now insurance companies are actually paying for these to be remade and readjusted every 3 years. And so
wow.
it's turning into a nice return model.
I know at my lab, I get asked quite often if we make sleep apnea devices, and I honestly say no. Is Panthera somewhere that a lab such as ours could just pass through and utilize you guys to service our doctors?
Exactly, Elvis. That's the beauty of our product. Is it's easy to get trained as a dental technician of what you need to know to support your dentist with such a product. And yes, any lab can join us. I mean, obviously, we try to support, the bigger volume because it's
Sure.
a logistic question at the end of the day. But we do have a couple of smaller lab, that going to do, 4 or 5 cases per month, to support the local dentists. Because it's real that if you say no, your doctor are going to still want one of those appliances.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then they're going to have to call another lab. And you have a risk that they love the service and whatever the reason. And at some days is, oh, by the way, can you do this crown also for me? And then not because they don't like you, just because, life is like that sometimes, an opportunity, a momentum. So instead of having a chance to risk this momentum, it's an opportunity for you to, widen your range of offering and adding sleep apnea appliance and keep your dentist with you. And Panthera, as I said, my whole company is based on the fact that my father is a dental technician originally. So that's how I think, that's how I believe, and that's where I want to do the difference. So we are equipped to support you and learn it properly so you can had this kind of product and make sure that you will be able to answer the question from your doctor and make sure that you prepare the model or the scan before sending to us so that the design will be optimal and so on. So yes, a lab like yours or any other lab can join on that product line. And believe me, and Kim can confirm with the number, I mean, we're really at the tip of the iceberg of the potential market in America. It's amazing how many patients need a solution. And no, it's not the amount of dentists that do sleep at the moment and the amount of lab, it's far to be enough to support the whole real demand that is growing year after year.
Sure.
So what's the learning curve like for a laboratory that wants to get in? Do you guys go out and do a training, webinars? What does that look like?
We do both, Barb. We actually, we have a training program that we could come in and train you and your team members so that you know how to answer questions for the dentist, you know how to understand what the other products, the competitive products are, the features and benefits of them, and then also understand if the doctors are asking for ancillary products that go along with the appliance. And you have that choice, to offer those products or basically to have them go back to an orthodontic laboratory to get them. But most of our laboratories pretty much can jump in and run with this at a face value because it is a turnkey solution. Our product comes back to you ready for insertion. It has the 510K approval. You are literally just taking it from the box and delivering it to the office for the doctor. We have all the information there for them to do the try-ins, what they need to do if adjustments are needed. So the lab really is not put in a situation of having to modify, change, or alter the appliance at all. If there's something that's not right, it doesn't fit correctly, it's basically returned to us and we remake it, or we work with the dentist to go through the fitting process on it. So again, telemedicine is allowing us to accelerate that, but we also have videos, we have tip sheets that we provide to make that an easy transition.
You and I were talking a little bit earlier, kind of changing gears a little bit, but right now, dentists, I mean, we're in the middle of the pandemic. Elvis, when is this going to be released? Is that a current topic or?
Yeah, it's always going to be a topic forever.
Okay.
So I'll go for it.
Yeah. So being in the middle of this pandemic and having the ADA kind of tell offices to just do emergency cases, we were talking about the opportunity there to go online and start treating, some of these patients online. Are you seeing an uptick in that sort of treatment right now?
Yes. In fact, we're on the precipice of this really blowing up. I was just mentioning to you as we got started, I've been on WebExes pretty much this week from all the sleep manufacturers who are now combining forces and creating packages and creating solutions that they're presenting to sleep doctors. And the message is the time is now to be, in front of your patients, to be helping them because they're home, they're under stress, they haven't been diagnosed. And it's a perfect time to begin the process, but also to start a new protocol that could emerge as one of the leading advancements, in this sector. So what has transpired is Beatrice and I have been working on how we can work with our laboratories and how we can actually create some energy around what's taking shape, but also provide some guidance in how we should be moving forward with this. There's a lot of talk today about telemedicine, the steps that need to be taken, and then, of course, if the patient shows up to protocols that need to be followed by the CDC and infectious control so that everyone's safe. And I think that's the first thing we should make sure that we're operating in a safe environment and that we're doing the same type of precautionary contact and communication with our patient, just like an ER would do. So that's really what I want to bring home is the message today is we're not trying to create this as a marketing fire drill that everyone needs to run and get involved. We're using it as get informed. And if you feel that you would like to participate with this, if you see the need and then you understand the risk, then we have the tools and we have the pathway to help you get started and accelerate that business. So it's very interesting when you see opportunity that emerges, through trials and crises like this. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's just a matter of all the tools were in place, but they weren't being engaged because we were operating under different systems. Mm-hmm. And now, with everything being flipped upside down, turned off, stopped, everyone's got to do a reset. And really the innovators in the industry, especially in the sleep side, have begun to really focus in on, okay, what is it that we can do legally and professionally to help these patients that have a medical condition? So that's been the war cry, should I say, that's coming out of the WebExes and the call to actions that are taking place. And you're going to hear more and more of this as the big companies get involved. I think you'll just start hearing some cross communication now as this begins to filter down. And we're happy that we have an opportunity to do it. We're going to, again, our approach is going to be to work directly first through our PPLs, which are preferred partner laboratories. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, to extend that out to a broader base, as this develops. They're saying now. They're not actually saying, don't wait till it reopens. Don't wait till it restarts. Yeah. Start now. And I think that's what's important for them, for optimistic dentists, doctors, and laboratories to hear, just like you were sharing earlier, that yes, there's still opportunity. Yes, dentistry is still moving. It's slower. It's more specified. It's emergency care focused, which is all the humanitarian acts we want to accomplish. But we also still want to try to keep the lights on and keep our people.
Yeah. Absolutely. So like you were talking about, some doctors are actually going out and putting ads online. So if a patient, because not being able to go anywhere, people are not sleeping, they're grinding. There's probably a fair amount of people that are sore, their teeth hurt, they can't sleep. And so they go online and they're looking up emergency dentists. And some of these dentists have used that as an opportunity to go online and buy an ad, correct?
Absolutely. I was watching a presentation by Bullseye Media. Mark Fowler is the president over there. And Mark's been engaged in dentistry for, I've known him for at least 7, 8, 10 years. He worked in Double Biocare at one time as well. And Mark was giving us examples of dentists that are coming to him saying, Mark, what can I do? I don't want to just sit on my home and waiting for my phone to ring. And so he said, well, for a few dollars with Google Ads, as you know, they pay as the clicks happen, but you can create some Google Ads saying that you are open for emergency care. And what that does is, of course, it puts you at the top of the list when someone searches in a geographical area that you're looking at. And I encourage everyone to go to the computer, type in that, and just see who pops up, because those are the people that are actually the early adapters that are leading the way. And then from there, it breaks down into the readiness that you are to get involved. If you haven't been involved with telemedicine, we now have some webinars, and we have some folks that are getting involved with helping train, get those tools available. There are some free tools that you can use. There are also some companies that sell some telemedicine tools that incorporate billing, insurance coding, and things with them. So it really depends how far you're going to dip your toe in the water to get started, so to speak. It's an exciting time, but we're all kind of feeling our way through the boundaries of getting involved in it, what we can, what we can't do. And we're learning on a day-to-day basis how to sharpen the saw, so to speak. So we're getting better at it.
Yeah. So I took your advice and pulled up emergency dentist as I'm going on my Google on my phone. And there's a fair amount just right around me that are advertising, at least 10. So smart. So back to the sleep. So if they do an online treatment plan, or if they meet the dentist online, obviously they've got to come in and get scanned. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So that's a super fast. So they already do the diagnostic, they prepare the insurance, they get everything ready to roll, and then they're going to have to at least go in and get scanned. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. They're going to have to take an impression. But you say scan, but it can still be a regular impression. I mean, you understand, at the end of the day, you put your finger to fit a scanner in your patient mouth, or you put your finger to open the patient mouth and put an impression tray. You still put your finger in your patient mouth. The risk is pretty much the same.
Yep. Agree.
But yeah, so the whole concept of doing telemedicine with sleep, that's exactly the opportunities that you have one appointment of taking the impression. But where we stand out is that our appliance has been very, very well designed, and the material have a huge benefit of being, how can I say, when we deliver the appliance, the success rate of not altering needed to adjust the appliance is more than 98%. So that's mean you can also do a delivery of the appliance over FaceTime, Skype, whatsoever. You don't need to be with your patient for 98% of your cases.
Wow.
In that situation with this pandemic right now, it's a huge benefit because acrylic material will not offer this kind of flexibility, I will say. And not meaning that acrylic is bad. That's not my point. Just meaning that the consistent and the physical aspect of the material might require more of time, a little, drilling here and there, like literally 1 second. You just take your drill and 1 second on it and it's perfect fit. But you still have to do it. So
Yeah.
versus the nylon material, I have this benefit of having this kind of flexibility material that acrylic-based appliance like the other famous brand that we know on the market do not have.
It would be one appointment to scan and or take an impression, and then another appointment to go in and make sure it fits like okay, correct?
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's one appointment to scan, and all the rest is done over FaceTime or Skype, even the delivery.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, no, exactly. So you just the doctor received the appliance with a model, he checked the model, make sure everything is fine, and then he literally sent it, by post office to his patient, and he says with the instruction, he says, when you're ready to try it for the first time, you call me over a webcam, and now I'm going to tell you with proper instruction how to insert it. Like you insert the lowest, you insert the upper, and then you attach it, put it in your mouth. And if something happened, then you ship back the appliance, we're gonna see it. And then obviously I'm not going into detail right now, but we do have a whole program that Kim and I were working to support the doctor. If the 2% cases happen, there's still solution out there. That's what I'm saying. Without having to have properly physical contact with the patient. And then as funny it is, Kim and I, we realized even out of this pandemic, it still can become a standard and will allow, the thing is that in America, we live far away from each other when you think about it. Both US and Canada are big countries.
Right.
There's some state people are like 2-3 hours of car to get to their local dentist. Like take everyone that live in the farm in the middle of the country. That's a lot of car to get to your dentist. So imagine how those patients in any kind of time outside of pandemic will love the idea to connect on FaceTime to receive their product and so on. They only have to do it one time by car and that's it.
And this is brilliant thinking because we know that life is going to change after this. Even when we get back to a normal, it's not going to be as normal as it ever was. You've got a lot of people that have a lot of fear and, they're just going to want to change the way they do things. And I can imagine that if you live 2 hours away, that's a long trip. You take a lot of time out of your day, but if you could do it virtually, I can completely see this taking off. I realize they have to get in there for a appointment, but one appointment is a whole heck of a lot different than 2, 3, 4 appointments. One to get set up and seen, and then you've got to deal with all the insurance, and then you've got to go back in. So I really, really love the idea. It's amazing.
We get too far down the road. The way that this really works is, of course, there's a lot of upfront work that begins. For the first consultation, when the patient has that initial telemedicine conference with the doctor, they will take them through a series of questions. They'll actually have them put their iPhone or the camera up, and they'll say so they can look in their mouth. There are distinct characteristics of an apnea patient as far as how much opening you have, basically what the tongue shape looks in, if it's being thrusted up against the teeth and it's scalloping look. And so these indicators will lead the doctor then to have a discussion with the patient. Have you ever been tested for sleep apnea? And if they say no, what they will do then is they'll order a home sleep test, which is a small device about the size of an iPhone that's shipped to the patient. They wear it at home in their bed. It records all of the data. They ship it back to the doctor the next day, or if it's a 2-night study, it's 2 nights. And from there, the doctor uploads all the data and they get a reading of actually what's going on with that patient. And then based on the scale of the apnea scale, if you're mild, moderate, or severe, there are numbers that associate to that, which relates to the AHI, how many times you actually stop breathing per minute. And it establishes a number grade. Then that puts you in the category, in the insurance category of a medical device application, meaning an appliance or CPAP. So that's really all takes shape between the first consultation, the shipment of the home sleep test, and then there's a second consultation that takes place with the patient about the action plan of what's recommended for treatment. And then, of course, it accelerates from there into the office visit for scanning or impression taking. And then from there, it's the delivery through telemedicine. So there is a little more upfront work, gathering the information on the insurance that they have, all of those things, so that you don't get to the end and then you're trying to make up for all the missed spots and steps on it.
But again, you can do all that virtually as well, correct? I do have a friend of mine. He went through that. He got it shipped to him. He wore the device or whatever it was at night, and then he had to send it back to them. And then that's where they scored him as having sleep apnea. So I kind of have a little bit of a background onto it.
That's exactly how it's happening. As Beatrice said, now it's allowing us to treat patients that otherwise would have to drive hour or more just to come in to see the doctor, take time off. And the other thought that came up, and it's been resonating through these WebExes, is once we go back to work, is patients aren't going to want to leave work to come in to go see the dentist during the daytime. So
Right.
there's going to be this shift in time between evenings and weekends appointments as well. And I think that telemedicine offers that opportunity. You can actually run 24/7 if you wanted to. So that's nice.
Wanted to let you guys both know that Elvis he can't hear us. We can't hear him, but I'm going to keep it going. He texted me a couple questions. I'll let you finish, Beatrice, what you were just going to say.
No problem. No
All right.
problem. I wanted to add something, Barbara, on this whole sleep industry and pandemic stuff right now. Is also as interesting it is. If I ask you the question, which specialty of physician right now are the most needed within the pandemic, I hope you're going to answer pneumologist, because they are the doctor in demand.
Yep.
Because it's a pneumologist, a virus that we have to deal, okay? And who is the physician that is needed for sleep tests normally in the industry? The same one.
Same one.
So right now, what's also going to happen is that, let's say that tomorrow we got to the point where the pandemic is let's say, positive control, or everything start to be going well, but still, as long as we don't have a real permanent solution, that might take up to a year and a half from now, having a proper vaccine and so on, pneumologists will be super in demand to control, and get in control of that situation. Plus, they're going to be exhausted when they're going to get out of that. I mean, I'm sure everyone here, I've seen videos of health worker, how much they give a lot of time in institution like the one in New York right now, the one in Italy, in France, and so on. So sleep industry will be hit hard by the fact that physician will not be available for that condition, because we have this virus that is running out there that have to be under control. So dentists have an opportunity right now to show to the pneumologists, guys, we're here, you can trust us, we know we are equipped, we can take a big part of this industry and help you out with the fact that you will not be able for a long time to take back the control of sleep apnea. So if I was a dentist or a lab today, I will totally invest my time to see how can I join this, because there's going to be a shift, and that might be permanent once this all be done. Because as today, still getting a sleep test in a hospital with a pneumologist, it's even in big city can be a challenge, because it's complicated, it's expensive, there's waiting lists depending of where we live. So telemedicine plus dentists in the sleep can have a permanent change in this industry. That, okay, today we talk about COVID-19 everywhere, but I mean, everyone can remember those big impact. We all remember about this train wreck that happened in New York a few years ago, where the driver had sleep apnea untreated. And that's exactly why he killed hundreds of people. And that's just one example out of many hundred of examples happening every day of people. Right now, Kim, you can confirm, but there's a lot of dentist sleep doctor that give lecture at the moment right now. And one of the first population that they try to help is exactly the health worker. Imagine being a nurse right now that have a sleep apnea problem untreated, and you have to do 16, 18-hour shift to treat this pandemic. And also, it's a known fact that when you're tired, exhausted, and you don't have proper sleep, your immunity system is weakened. So that's mean that you're more at risk to grab this COVID-19 virus than if you have proper sleep. And that's a challenge also. So there's something we can do as an industry.
I'm sure there's a lot of listeners listening to this podcast, just like I am right now, being a part of it, going, wow, that's huge. I'm going to look into it like next week, big time.
You just have to give us a call, Barb. It will be a pleasure.
I will. Trust me. I think it's an absolute direction for us to go, especially now. So switching gears a little bit, are you guys fabricating any PPE at your facilities for hospitals?
Oh, as a matter of fact, I'm more than due. I'm about to produce in the next couple of weeks 250,000 of face shield.
Oh my God, really?
Yes. So what I did, and as a matter of fact, I do strongly suggest any lab that listen to that to take note, because I'm going to share you what I did, and I hope that every lab that hear that will be able to join that. As we know, every day we're in front of 3D printer and dental lab, and we don't realize that this is unique. People don't know what is 3D printing. I was invited in some local radio broadcasting here to speak about what is 3D printing. People start to read in newspaper, 3D printer helped this hospital and so on. And the average common people had never heard about 3D printers. So what happened, I got contacted by a maxillofacial from a local hospital here that says, hey, Beatrice, can you produce this face shield mask? So I started to work on a design, and 2 days after, I was able to print my first prototype, and we started to produce. The problem is that, okay, I have a very big 3D printing capacity because of my company compared to a regular dental lab, but still was not enough to support the hundred of thousands that is needed by the local hospital, okay? So I started to pick up the phone and I called local lab in province of Quebec. And I said, guys, if we join our forces, we'll be able to mass produce. So right now I have dozens of dental labs that use the 3D printer. They send it to me. I assemble everything, disinfect, and send it to hospital. What I did also is that I made call on Facebook, on TVs, and everywhere that any hobbyist that house 3D printer, the one you can buy on Amazon, I said, here's the file. I'm going to provide you with raw material. You manufacture for me. I give you a little, $1 per facial. You send it to me. I pack everything and then resell it at no profit margin, but at least to cover my costs. And then like that, I was able to gather more than 1,000 of 3D printer are working for me.
Amazing.
And my file are all on my website, and any dental lab can use them. I made a file for bigger machine, and I also made a file that fit in the Formlab 2 3D printer. That is one of the most popular printer in dental lab right now. It's already done, it's easy to access, and it's free to use. And I hope that, as I said, every lab should do that with their local community, gather a couple of labs, and try to contact the local citizen that own a 3D printer and all join the force and call the hospital and says, hey, you know what? We can produce 1,000 per week. And now you start to talk about volume that will make the hospital so happy.
Right.
I understand giving 10 to the local hospital, you're going to make 10 people happy. But the hospital, it's more complicated than anything else because they need hundreds of thousands, or 1,000 per days, and they don't have the manpower to receive 1,000 from hundred of company. They will prefer to have one company that provides 1,000 per day or, per week.
Yep.
So, and now at the moment, I'm also working on a printed ventilator machine. I'm working on a printed N95 mask and working also on some other printed solution like valve and some other stuff. I have like dozens of projects for hospital here that, again, every time I find something that's useful, I'm going to put it for free on my website and I will say, use it.
I love that. I'm seeing a lot of labs in the USA do that as well. They've had a couple different webinars in the last week about, what kind of registration you need to do, how do you do it, how do you fabricate them, and then how do you get them to where they need to go. And it's just been a wonderful thing for our industry to come together. So I think that's amazing. Thank you very much, and your company as well.
It's a minimum. I could do it. And as I said, it's a nice opportunity for the dental industry to show the hospital, the government, and everyone that live in our country that the dental industry have something that you were not aware of and can make a huge difference in a situation like that. And once the whole thing is done, I think the population will see the dental industry in a different way because of 3D printing. It's an opportunity to shine right now. And I think that every lab should figure out to join that and make a difference because we've been in the dark for years, to be honest.
Yeah. We're the unsung heroes. Yep. Another opportunity for us to come out, and be like, hey, these are all of the things that we do. And it's going to bring a lot of light to our industry, I believe.
Yeah, and it's going to probably accelerate the industry. It's going to give us opportunity to grow and bring new volume, new solution. Like I said, sleep being one example, but there's maybe a lot of other stuff. I know, for an example, I read the newspaper this morning, and dentists, not that surprising, but they are probably one of the best physician specialty out there that could assist for the COVID-19 because they are the one that are used to work with aerosol from patient. When you drill a teeth, you receive a lot of stuff in your face. So they know what is this reality.
Yeah.
They're probably more at risk than any other type of specialty of physician. And second, dentists are used to sterilize and aseptize their work place. When you do an implant surgery, you have to work in a place that is surgically clean, that's sterilized, and dentists have all the training. So because of that, and obviously they have all the basic dental medicine training, they know how to do the basic stuff, they know how to read a lot of machine. So they could be supportive to the situation, and they could be on the front line, as a matter of fact.
Hear, hear. Well said. Thank you for that explanation. I'm so happy that we have a ton of listeners that are listening to this and picking up this information.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So again, a new question. Little Bird told me you guys had new headquarters. Can you kind of expand on that? Where is it? What does it look like? Move in?
We got this beautiful 40,000 square feet building that we just built in Quebec City. And unfortunately, this pandemic, I was forced to cancel my grand opening. It's just a matter of postponing it. Okay, it's going to be postponed, but we're going to do a super big visit because we are, as today, the biggest CAD/CAM center in North America and probably in the world, because we're not a dental lab that do CAD/CAM. We're not an implant company that do CAD/CAM. We're only a CAD/CAM company. That's the only thing I do. And it's brand new. We got 100 of 3D printing manufacturing machine right here under the roof. It's feel a little this kind of Silicon Valley design, super open, light, funny. You should see the feeling in the workplace. It's just like hilarious. We have a lot of fun. We make it fun to work here and still very clean. I'm super proud of our new headquarters. As I said, we were supposed to invite anyone from the industry to join us in Quebec City. We had this amazing resort that we rented, and I had to cancel everything. I'm so sad.
Bummer. So congratulations, and that's a bummer. When was that? Was it like this month?
It was scheduled for June 20, but now, the situation is too risky to go on with it. So we told ourselves, let's postpone it and redo something. We had the mayor of the city that was invited. We had our prime minister that probably will have joined us for the grand opening. It's just like crazy. But it just, I said, it's postponed. It's going to be bigger, but we're going to make it happen. And then the idea was that within the visit, we also wanted to make something called the Panthera days. That will have been like a full day of high-end training and go in detail of everything we spoke right now. And, we had 15 international speakers, a lot of names that are well-known in the industry was coming to speak for us. But, it just, postponed. That's not the end of the world.
It isn't the end of the world, and it's going to be a safer world when you guys do that. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I've heard a lot of interesting information, mostly on Facebook and social media, about the Panthera Cup. Can you tell us and our listeners a little bit about that, or a whole lot about that?
Yeah, so here's Bart what I suggest. I can tell you, obviously, but I think you should consider you and Elvis to maybe redo another podcast specialized on that, and we should invite maybe one or two participants that went to the Master Cup so you can have their point of view, and I can bring you my point of view, and maybe even one jury member, so we have a complete chat about that.
That's a great idea.
I think we created something that is never seen in the industry. My idea, I'm a car enthusiast also in life, and something I love about different type of racing, and I'm gonna take an example, one American famous sport, NASCAR. What is great about NASCAR, I'm not a super fan of NASCAR, but one thing I love about NASCAR is every car have the exact same engine, exact same power, exact same layout and everything. For little teeny detail, they are exactly the same car. So what makes the difference is the actual driver, the pilot. So you really know at the end of the NASCAR race who was the good driver and who was not. And I said, let's do a dental contest for dental technician with the same concept. I don't want to have a dental technician have better network or more money to win. I want them to have the exact same challenge, and the skill and the talent will make them win or lose. Okay, so that's why I created that Master Cup in honor of this dental technician industry because of my father. And it's been this year was the fourth one, and I'm super amazed by what happened with that. There's the first winner, Mark Williamson, is a regular employee at a dental lab in Chicago area. No one knew him more than anything else. It was just a regular dental technician working. Today, he gave lecture all around America and Canada. I mean, his schedule is full out because he won this contest.
Wow.
I'm so happy what happened. And believe me, this guy is also happy. His life has totally changed.
Good for him.
Yeah, so as I said, I mean, this contest is so big that I would love to come back on your podcast, but next time bring, like, for example, probably Mark would love to join us, and probably bring also one that did the jury with us to explain how happened, how this went, and then why we do that, and what is the next, and why every technician that believe they're not possible winners should still try. Because every year, what I heard a story, the one that win is the one that was sure that it will end the last.
I love that. I think that's a fantastic idea. So Elvis and I will put together a separate podcast, and we'll have a jury, a winner, yourself and Kim, and you guys can explain all of it. And
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome. I can tell by winning something like that, it would bring a lot of publicity and therefore a lot of business. So I congratulate you on that as well on behalf of all the technicians around the country and the world. So that's pretty much all I have. I know we kind of lost my partner Elvis, which usually doesn't happen. He's usually the one that goes solo and I'm not. So I appreciate you both, Kim and Beatrice, joining us today on our podcast. Fantastic interview. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I learned a lot. There's a lot of opportunity out there right now, and I'm going to absolutely be in touch. I really think I'm missing out on the sleep apnea. So thank you for explaining everything to us and spending the time with us today. I'm sure you're both in quarantine, or maybe you're not, but stay safe and keep yourselves healthy. And thank you for joining us.
thank you.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Elvis. Thank
A big thank you to Beatrice and Kim for coming on our podcast. What a great and inspiring conversation. Panthera is doing some great things, and we encourage everyone to head over to their website to see all of the great things they are doing and to get STL files that you can print yourself to help with the PPE shortage. We will keep you up to date on when they reschedule the Panthera Days event, and we will talk to them again about the Panthera Master Cup. I think that's going to be a great interview as well.
Good stuff. Well done, Barb, on finishing that up. Sorry, my internet here at home was terrible.
Yeah, sucks to be you. Sorry.
So I am heading out for another run.
Oh, I think you told me you did 158 miles in April. 158 miles in April, so good for you.
This quarantine has given me a lot of free time, so...
It's 85 degrees here in Florida. Absolutely beautiful. A little bit of a wind. I left my running shoes outside, so they're actually sitting in front of me on the asphalt right now, drying out.
Why are they drying out? Does your feet sweat that much?
No, I left them out in the rain. I left them outside and it poured. So I had to pour the water out, and I've got them sitting outside on the asphalt outside of Night Dental drying up so I can go for a run tonight.
Nice. So hopefully everything will be getting back up to speed here, and we can start seeing some work come in.
Yep, we'll keep everybody up to date. Maybe next week we'll have an update with Bennett, so stay tuned.
All right, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good one.
Have a great week.
Bye.
See ya. Welcome to the podcast, Elvis.
Oh, come on. I'm listening.